Welcome to Judge Call Europe. On this channel, I will upload recordings from live seminars we are running in person in London with the help of P9 card game store in Canary Wharf. If you want to join our seminars, you can find the link to our Facebook in the description to see when the next seminar will take place. If you enjoyed the video, please consider subscribing to the channel and sharing the video with your friends. And if you have any suggestions to the topics I should cover, please leave the comment below the video. I read them all and it helps with the algorithm. Please enjoy the video.
Second topic of our seminar is going to be how do teams work. So this is a bit more intermediate topic. This applies to competitive and professional events. Competitive usually is going to have some sort of mix of the teams bunched together. Professional level events that's when you have way more people, and you will definitely see those teams there. Although one of them is being currently ruled out, but I'll talk about that as we get there. Work with me. There we go. So what we will cover, what teams to expect. So I'm going to quickly cover what's the basic teams you should expect. And then I'm going to go in details on how each of the teams work. If you've done any of the professional events in the past, you've probably seen some of them. But if it's new for you, it's a good knowledge to have. Responsibilities of each team. So as I mentioned, we're going to talk in details about that. And important, how to communicate with a team. Because I've seen a lot of people approach it differently. And there is a very specific way you should be doing it. And I will explain why. So what are the teams? Outside of Thomas, because Thomas worked professional events, so I'm not going to make it that simple. I'll give you a hint. There is 6 teams for judges. Who wants to take a guess? What teams we have?
On big events, you have side events, you have the main stage, you have somebody on product organization. I don't know the others.
Any other guesses? It's more of an admin position. Yeah, product also, as much as I appreciate product is not necessarily judges. Preparing the product is usually an admin job or logistics or the TO position. They might take someone in rather than a judge to put them on product team, but that's not a judge team. Reason I'm saying that is because, yeah, that is all admin, that is all registration. So the most important team of all, floor. Floor judges, people who answer the calls, who manage the players, who look after the floor, literally the most important team out there. Every other team is niche or specialized. The second most important one, deck check. There's a dedicated team that checks the decks during the event. They have their targets, they have the rules, they have the ways to do things. End of round. That's a favorite team on any TO, because that's the people that you blame for your event being delayed. Those are the people that make sure that all your rounds are finished on time and that you have all the results. Paper team. This is a team that's actually by more and more TOs being rotated out. People responsible for standings, pairings, anything that you need to print out and present to players. Sides, as in side events. It's a separate team that runs all the side events. And breaks. It's a dedicated team that covers breaks of other teams. The team, as I mentioned, the most important one is always going to be floor. But without all of those teams there, the event is going to be chaotic and you won't be able to pinpoint what needs to be done. Floor team. What's the responsibilities of the floor team?
Making sure players are in the right places, the tables are playable on, the table numbers are on the right places, and any calls that pop up, rules calls that pop up.
Yep. One other thing to mention in there is helping other teams as requested. The floor team is the team that is going to take the other judges when they're not busy, but it's also the team that's easiest to pick out. If you suddenly need someone to help you distribute product, grab someone from the floor. If you need someone to help with the side events, check where on the floor they're not needed. So this is the team that's going to go most out to other teams if needed. Deck check team. Responsibilities of deck check team. Okay.
Timely manner.
The important thing is knowledge of the metagame and organizing collected deck lists. So knowledge of metagame, why is it important? When you're checking the deck and you see unusual card in there, the infraction can depend on, is this card important? Ultimately, if you're uncertain, you always ask your team leader on how you should deal with this one. Because XYZ, because I think this is the reasoning and that should be the result. What do you think? It's a question, the most important thing ever is you need to think about a player. When you're running an event, it's ultimately think about the player. Organizing collected deck lists, that's also a lot of games, and God bless that, collect digital deck lists now. So you do not have, I was on the deck check for an event in Japan, in Tokyo. We had 2 events at the same time, both for 800 players. And we needed to separate the deck lists. You had one event in English, one in Japanese. And I was just like, yeah, and then we're doing deck checks. Timely deck checks. So a lot of card games do have limits on how long it should be. If you cannot finish the deck check in that time, usually it's pick up, go back. We do not want the delays. And all of the TOs are going to tell you that if your deck check is taking more than 10 or 15 minutes, depending on the game, then you're done. From table to table, so from table, bring back deck check, and bring back to the players, should be no longer than 10 or 15 minutes, depending on the game. If you're taking too long, you need to adjust your approach. You need to adjust what you're doing. And precise communication with players and with your team lead. Because as I mentioned, time is of the essence. You are doing, Flesh and Blood doesn't do mid-round checks, but I know Magic does mid-round checks. Lorcana does mid-round checks. Pokemon, is it best of 3 or best of 1? 3. So it would do mid-round checks as well. So games like that usually have a target. You put people in pairs, and you need to check 3 decks in 1 round if you have best of 3. Flesh and Blood, because it's best of 1, doesn't do mid-round checks. But precise communication is key, because you go collect the decks from the players, explain what's happening, pick up the decks, your partner is searching the deck lists, sit down, organize, check for any issues. If there's any issues, precisely communicate to your team lead so it can be sorted as fast as possible, and then bring it back. Target, you want to be, as I said, ideally, any game is going to be happy if you can do it under 10 minutes. EO team, because I love calling end of round EO. What do we think end of round team does? Wow. Format.
And everything else, and the end of round team will start setting up to establish what games should still be playing, what games are still playing, and what games aren't still playing but haven't given in their result, and try to steer all of these in the direction of game ended, result avoided in a number of ways.
And that's when you're going to see end of round team lead just going around and grabbing random floor judges and say, you sit on this table, you sit on this table. And one of the best tools that we are using at Flesh and Blood and Lorcana, and I think Magic as well, Purple Fox.
Yes, well,
when it works, it's good.
Because Melee now has the same built-in function
So probably Lorcana as well, because they're using the same. So ensuring all results are reported on time. So as you mentioned, that starts before the end of round happens, because you want to make sure as soon as possible the results are reported. But you're not sitting down there with them and you need to be finishing now, you need to play faster, you need to play faster, you need to play faster. No. You do not exert additional pressure on the players. You just sit down and you make sure that the players are aware that the turns have started. If they've been playing through the announcement of end of round, you remind them, guys, it's turns now. Usually the tables with time extension are the first one to receive a judge to sit at the table. End of round team is usually about 4-5 people. So a lot of the time it's going to be team lead going end of round team on the time extensions and then floor judges on everything else. And managing resources, judges. Judges for the end of round team for that 20-minute period of time are resources for the end of round team lead. You take any judge that's currently not doing anything and you're doing end of round. And that's just for 20 minutes, or until the table you were given is finished. And coordinating with scorekeepers. You work with scorekeepers on what scores are you still missing in case you don't have tools like Purple Fox. Paper team. So this one is getting a bit more obsolete. So I'm going to mention very quickly what you do. It's posting pairings, standings, and deck registration sheets. That's for limited events, sealed or draft. Anything that needs to be printed out and distributed to players either publicly or personally is done by the paper team. Match slips used to be a paper team as well. But a lot of games are moving away from that. You have online registration tools, you have Melee, you have Neuron for Yu-Gi-Oh!, Limitless for Pokemon, I think it is. Oh. Bandai has TCG Plus, Bushiroad has its own Navi, Flesh and Blood has Gem. So there is, every single game is going towards useless paper. And with standing the same, Flesh and Blood at the moment just prints one set of standings for the whole room, and we only print them once. We don't print physical pairings. Just go ask your judge. They're going to have it on Purple Fox. It's all you need. I assume Magic does similar thing. I know Lorcana did the same thing. Just go ask your judge. It's on Purple Fox. Sides team. Yes. What do you do?
What used to be called an 8-man pickup. As soon as the event starts, you get your people and you start playing.
That's one type of side team. Yes, but a lot of games are moving towards two types of side events: 8-man pickup, so on demand, but you also have scheduled side events, which are also responsibility of a sides team. Massive events usually will get two sides team, one for the 8-man and one for scheduled. Exactly. Flesh and Blood, for example, doesn't do on demand. We have maybe 4 people interested over the whole weekend. So we just don't do on demands for Flesh and Blood. So we just have one size team. Even on massive events like Pro Tours, just not worth it. But Yu-Gi-Oh! I know has a split. I think Magic has a split on the bigger events as well.
Yeah.
Because it's just, you have so many 8-man, you have so many on demands that just keeps on going. So starting side events, organizing starting table, that's for scheduled events and for on demands. Depending on the game, sometimes your team lead is going to tell you where you're starting your event. Especially on demands, it's the team lead that's going to decide what is your starting table number. And then you receive your group. On you go. On the scheduled ones, usually if you are running the scheduled one and not your team lead, you are given the freedom to organize it with a scorekeeper with approval from your team lead. At least that's how Flesh and Blood does it, because Flesh and Blood is trying to encourage people to be confident and experienced. They're trying to teach them how to make the decision. Team lead might come in and it's like, yes, you can start it here, but then think about this. After an hour later, you have this massive event that's going to happen and sit next to you. Maybe you want to put it at the end of the table, at the end tables rather than at the top tables. and just finding your spot. Or you can be in the middle because no one sits there. Yeah, cool. But then in 2 hours, we are starting this massive 500-man event. I can't put anyone there because then you have a massive break in the event. So organizing your starting table, working with the scorekeepers to make sure your event starts where it needs to. Unless we're just doing paper on demand, because on demand usually uses paper. Running the event in timely manner. If you're told that you have to play 3 rounds, let's say that you have a TCG an hour to a round, you need to finish your on demand in 3.5 hours. Yeah, because you have the time procedures. And it's your responsibility to finish in that time. You need to manage the players. You need to make sure that they don't wander off and then you can't start the next round, whatever it is. Just look after that. Helping out in other events. If you do not have currently events running on your end, you're going to be dragged in to help with one of the either main events or a bigger side event that needs personnel if your event didn't fire on the scheduled ones. Because that does happen as well. Break team. I think that one is fairly simple. Who knows what the break team does? Cover breaks. So no magic to that. You coordinate with other teams to cover the breaks. So you need to make sure that the other team knows that they're going on the break at this time and the break team picks up. So that is when you have a whole team taking break at once and then another team comes and picks up for them. A little bit of every position as needed. The break team is the most demanding team of all the teams that you would do, because you need to be able to do deck checks, side events, end of round, floor, whatever is needed of you. You need to be able to do this. If you want to see how different positions work, the break team is like the best team to do, because then you get to experience for an hour every single team. And you're going to see, understand, and experience that. And hopefully get paired with someone who's experienced at doing this, so you get to learn from them as well. And you need to have versatile skills. Versatility is important because sometimes you're going to have a few minutes delay because the team is late coming back. Sometimes you might have a difficult call when the main team is away. You are still responsible for that when that happens. You need to know what you're doing. Admin team that I'm going to quickly cover because it's important to know what admin team does, but that is usually provided by the TO, sometimes supported by the applications from the judge team. What you need to know is what's the positions. I will be doing a different presentation that is going to go in depth on admin team, because I think working with an admin team between judges and admin team is an important skill to have, but it's not something that I would cover in here because it's its own topic. Scorekeepers are part of the admin team, so people who get the results per next round, make sure that everything is as it should be, and fix any issues that might have happened with that. Registration. People who take registration for side events, main events, give out the badges, anything that's a front-facing customer service, essentially. Customer service, usually, as I mentioned, it's mixed with registration. Prize wall. Very fun thing for me to do side events. You don't get any prizes for side events. You get ticks, you get to exchange them at the prize wall, and you have admin team manning the prize wall and exchanging those ticks for you, so you can get the prizes that you want. Fun little game. Who you gonna call? Exactly. Theo wants to post standings after penultimate round of Swiss. Which team? Paper. There's suspicion of a player having illegal deck. They're simple, they're self-explanatory, but round has finished, but scorekeeper is missing some results. Sorry? Yeah. Player is holding hand up in the air. Floor. It's always going to be float. So, you need something from another team. How would you go about that? Say you are on sides team and you need something from paper team. How would you go about that? How do you want to achieve what you want from the paper team? They need to print deck registration sheets for your side event. Or alternatively, the team leader can tell you, go find a team leader and get. Never approach never approach a member of the team, always approach the leader of the team. So first and foremost, find out what team you need. The examples I gave are fairly simple, but sometimes it might be a bit more complicated, especially if you have two sides team. And you go out asking, oh, I need a team leader of a sides team. Which sides team? I have two. Find their team lead. So as mentioned, you talk to the team lead. You say to the team lead what you need, and they're going to point you out who you can take for that. And be precise in what you want. Why did you do this? There we go. Be precise in what you want. When it comes to communicating during the event, everyone is always busy, especially team leads. They don't have time to listen to you rumble. Keep on saying, oh, this has happened, and etc., etc., etc. Okay, but what do you need from me? I don't care for your life story. I need to know what you need from me so I can move on. No one wants to stand there for 20 minutes to listen that you spotted a cockroach on the floor. So because of that, you need someone to print out a deck registration sheet because you remembered. Precise communication with the team lead, to the point, quick. Only what's important. That's it for my presentation. Any questions for the teams that you might spot? It's fairly self-explanatory. You will not see those teams at low-level events. You will not see them even on the competitive level events in store normally. If you have a judge team in the store event of 4 or 5 judges, the head judge should go in and say, Thomas, you're dealing with the paper. Marcus, you're dealing with end of round. Because I'm a head judge, I need this covered. Those are the important tasks to be covered. So I'm giving that, you're a team of 1. And that's it. But it might also be, okay, so you're doing end of round and floor. You're doing deck checks and paper. Because it makes sense. And that way you just merge multiple teams together. And that's what you're going to see on Treasure Cup, not Treasure Cups, Store Championships for Pokemon, I think it is. If you have over 30 players in the room and you have 6, 7 judges, you're going to see your head judge just making small teams and just say, you're responsible for this, you're responsible for this. If you have any questions, come and find me or your TO or whoever it is. On the professional level events, you will see 1 or 2 team leads to the same team, one coming in the morning, one coming in the afternoon. And they will usually be together when they're together in the room, just so you don't have confusion. Oh, I asked this one and told me to do this. Oh, but you should be doing this one. You want to avoid that confusion. They're usually going to be together. Any other questions? Anything else? There's one sides team that divides the events between the members of the sides team. Yes. Usually what happens is, say you are on the morning sides team, your team leader is going to assign you're running the 9 a.m. CC. You're a head judge of that event. If you have then 30 people sign up, you say, okay, I need one more judge to help me with my side event. And the team leader gives you another side event judge to judge that event with you. You both work as a floor judges / you are the head judge of the event. So you call the rounds, you decide where you're sitting, all of that stuff. You make any announcements. But it's an REL casual event. Because side events are judged normally on the casual status. So it will be just one team. You might even be assigned multiple side events, although usually I know they're trying to put every person have one event. In Flesh and Blood, at least.
Obviously, it only matters for large events, but what's the interaction between the judge team and coverage team? Is there like very little interaction?
You mean the streaming team? That depends on the TO. So it depends on the TO, depends on the game. Sometimes you do have a dedicated judge team for the coverage. Flesh and Blood moved away from that because I figured that's what you're asking about.
Just generally.
So Yu-Gi-Oh has a dedicated judge team for that. Magic, I'm not sure where they're standing right now.
In the biggest events, they have a dedicated team.
In Flesh and Blood, we have game attendants. We do not. It's an admin team. It's not a judge. Because there is Flesh and Blood is a very complicated game when it comes, and it plays in best of one for a reason. If you try to play Flesh and Blood in best of 3, you're going to be there for a while. They have game attendants which are responsible for moving the pieces, getting the players in, finding the cards. If they're not seen, we do put them on the screen. We have someone who does that on the tablet at the table. But that table is treated as a normal table. If they have a judge question, they need to call a judge. And then they are visible somewhere where the judge can be called, or there is a walkie-talkie that can be used to call a judge. And then the floor team lead has that walkie-talkie, and then either that team lead goes or a judge from his team is sent to cover that. We used to have judge directly on the table, but that has backfired more often than not. So we stopped doing that. So interactions between judges and coverage team is pretty much the same as judges and admin team. They work together, but they're not.
Yeah, there's not overlap.
There's no overlap now.
Thank you for watching. I am uploading a new video every Sunday, so subscribe and click that bell icon for notifications so you won't miss any. If you have any questions or suggestions, please let me know in the comments below. See you next time.